Up next on MCTV Local 13, Machina Corps brings us Sketchbook Dissections. It's always nice to look back when the demons and monsters were only infants.
Sketchbook Dissections. Sketchbook Dissections. Wonderful.
Hey everybody, welcome to Sketchbook Dissections. I'm Stephen Emont. Today I'm going to go through a sketchbook I kept when I was working on indie video games for iPhones. I had done a few games with my friend Sal. He was a programmer. I did art and we did concept design together, and I had a book full of ideas here that aren't going to happen, so I'll go ahead and share those with you. So this is back 2011 or so, 2012, that era. So this first one was Maze RPG. That's as far as I got for a name, but the idea was I would create these big mazes and then recreate them as like a Final Fantasy style RPG, and you'd kind of go through the mazes. Things that would be dead ends might have special treasure. LD22, so this was Let 'em Dare, which was a game jam. They still do them. I don't know if it's every 3 months or something like that. And so I'd go over to my friend Corey's house. She was dating Sal, and I would spend the weekend there, and we would come up with and create a video game based on a certain topic that weekend. So basically you have Friday night, Saturday, and then Sunday you gotta finish it. So I did a handful of those. Our first game, the Four Hats, started off as a Let 'em Dare game jam. I did one called Rook Scroll, I forget what it was called, but it was kind of basically a rock, paper, scissors, except with these two castles, and you were constantly doing rock, paper, scissors over and over as the two sides would kind of combat each other, if that makes any sense. So this one here had the topic of alone. Some of our ideas here: survivalist at the end of the world, outer space, some unique world to explore, rich guy tries to buy friendship, gross pig trying to lose friends. I don't know what that means. These are some more sketches of characters for Maze RPG. So you got your ninja guy here. I don't know what these things are all over their arms. I actually tried a couple different art styles for this too that I'll put up. I tried doing some pixel art, and I tried doing some 3D art when I was trying to learn like Blender and those kind of 3D programs. More Maze RPG characters, and even more. Oh, okay, so the Four Hats was the alone Let 'em Dare game jam. So Four Hats, the idea was you were a Beatles-esque rock band, and you were trying to get away from your adoring fans, and your fans would chase you and rip you to shreds if they caught up to you. So the idea to get alone away from your fans. So one of the levels was based on Fool on the Hill, and was in this kind of nightmare dreamscape place. These hills and rainbows and mushrooms. Taco Graveyard game list. Omega Pixel. We did make Omega Pixel. Four Hats, Comedy of Heroes. I've gone over that one here. Alley Cross we'll get to. RPG Maze. Young Adult Dating Sim. RPG Slice of Life. This is Alley Cross. Alley Cross is based on a young adult story that I wanted to tell. I was going to do it as kind of a short story or something. I don't think I ever wrote it, but it was going to be like this kind of punk rock, weird, in your face, like just crazy stuff happening every second of the way. Allie is dressed up as a fairy and gets her arm cut off. She ends up like losing all kinds of limbs and eyes and stuff throughout. It's a zombie story basically. She's trapped in a high school. Here's more of Alley Cross. I think the idea of it was she was going to meet somebody, and the boy and the girl each like one can't walk from their injuries, the other can't use their arms from the injuries, one person can't see, and somehow they would complete each other in a way that they had one functioning person between the two of them. Some sketches for Comedy of Heroes. Did a whole video on Comedy of Heroes. If you want to see that, I think it's under the title Fighter Tots. A Megapixel was a kind of 8-bit style space sim where you have your ship that you control moving around with your fingers, and you have the Omega Pixel, which the enemies are trying to get to, and at any point you can swap places with the Omega Pixel. So you're constantly flying around defeating enemies, and if they get too close to the pixel you have to switch places and lure them in a different direction. These are some characters from Omega Pixel. Dag was this cat person, Mohawk. It was supposed to take place, I think, in like 2080 or 2180, the second, yeah, it was 2080, the second 80s, so everybody's kind of pixelated and based off of 80s tropes. Zenchis is another game idea that I had that it was supposed to be like Pokemon, where you're collecting a whole bunch of different alien creatures, and they would fill up, they were going to be box shaped, and they would fill up the box that is your phone. They were made out of different textures, like they'd be furry and slimy, and the idea, and we started putting this together, was that you could interact with them. You could pet it, and it would look like you're petting the fur, and you could poke its eye and it would blink, and you could just do all the, you could basically play with it. And we found ways having like multiple versions of the same thing, so we had like kind of a dark fur pet version and a light fur not pet version, so when you pet it, it would seek through to the other side. Here's some of the things. Here's this kind of dog looking guy, this one-eyed guy. Some of them would be really cute and adorable, and other ones would be like all skin and veins and slimy. It'd be really ugly. Some of them were kind of mechanical. This is the one that I worked on the most. These are some illustrations for another Let 'em Dare game jam. This one was for, I believe Tiny was the prompt for us, and we went with Tiny Tim. And our friend Toph, who did the music for all of our video games, did a cover of Tiptoe Through the Tulips. And it was kind of based on Tiny Tim's life. So basically, we made this full town, and it kind of, if you go through the top of it, you come up the bottom, so it tiles basically. And there'd be something like a dozen villagers in the town, and you would whistle to them at the beginning of Tiptoe Through the Tulips, and all of them would reject you. Like, they would just be like, and they would walk away until you found whoever the girl that Tiny Tim was in love with. When you found her, she would finish the song, and it'd be like a happy little you found your love ending. Here's a sketch of Tiny Tim here. Here's the Murder Broskies. So the Murder Broskies is a runner, like a run and shoot thing. So you pick one of the two broskies, and you run down this street. Like, you start at a car wreck, and then you just run down the street. I think there's zombies coming after you, and you're shooting all the zombies, and it's basically your old school spy hunter type game. You're trying to avoid obstacles. These are some icon ideas, some animation of zombie walking. I'm not sure what. Okay, this is that Let 'em Dare game jam with the chess pieces and the knights and the ogres and the trolls. I think that was kind of the last thing we did. We talked about doing a game after Penumbra came out. It didn't sell the way we wanted it to. We made a few thousand on it, but if it had been featured on the Apple App Store, if people could open up their App Store and see the game, it would have done a lot better, I think. I think like in Brazil it was on the main page, but everywhere else it didn't make the so basically, if you looked for video game reviews, you'd say, oh, this looks cool, I gotta try it. But other than that, you don't know it exists. So the game only existed to people who could find it. So it didn't do what we wanted it to do. We were hoping this was something that was going to be a game changer and that we can set off and make video games, and that was going to be our life. And it didn't happen. So I wanted Sal to port it to PlayStation, make a computer version. There were so many things that we were going to do, but I think not getting featured left such a sour taste in his mouth that he didn't want anything to do with it anymore. Sal wanted to just immediately go to new games. I had a book career, and I had books that I was working on Bright Lights, Dark Nights, and it was taking a lot of time away from working on that book, and I had like a summer basically to finish that book. So I didn't really have time to do anything. So we started doing something. It was like kind of a bull riding thing. There was some like huge hit iOS game about like shooting fish out of the oceans. We're like, okay, one screen, not 100 levels, not a million things, just one screen, just a fun game. So we're like, came up with this game about riding a bull and bouncing all over, like extreme bull riding, but we didn't get too far with it. I did a little bit of character design for it. It's about as far as we got. I thought it'd be funny if his expressions kept on changing as he was bouncing around everywhere. Yeah, that's about it. So this sketchbook has been dissected. A lot of fun coming up with all those different ideas, trying to get that cool video game that was going to take off and be, you know, I don't know what the correct word for it is, not necessarily viral, but something that would catch on with people and, you know, ideally bring in a lot of money and whatever. Basically something I did 2011, 12, 13, and then I just focused on books. Sal and Corey broke up. Sal moved away. And that was kind of the end of Taco Graveyard was our video game company name. But a lot of fun memories, a lot of fun projects. It's a shame we didn't get to do more of these different ideas, because I think a lot of the ideas were cool, but it is what it is, and it was a fun experiment. If you enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Nick Nocturne here, the voice of MCTV Local 13, humbly requesting a like, comment, or subscribe. We'll go full Neapolitan and do all three.